Esther Chapter 3, Through the Bible, Part 2. Haman is going to attempt to do a terrible thing. He is going to try to destroy all the Jews that live in the kingdom of Ahasuerus. I am sure he knew nothing about God's promise to Abraham to bless those who blessed the Jews and curse those who cursed the Jews. But God makes good that promise. We have only to turn back the pages of history to find that the Jew has attended the funeral of every one of the nations that tried to exterminate him. Hitler tried to exterminate them. He thought he would get rid of them. Yet today Hitler and his group are gone, but the Jew is still with us. Yes, God has promised to take care of his people. The fact that they have not been exterminated is in itself miraculous. God has indeed preserved them. And we will see him do it in the book of Esther. In the first month, that is, the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is, the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is, the month Adar. Esther 3 verse 7. Each day Haman's irritation grows. Every time he goes through the gate, everybody goes down on his face except that little Jew Mordecai, and it disturbs him. He resolves to do something about it. When Haman discovered that Mordecai's refusal to bow to him was based upon his religious convictions, he decided that a nationwide massacre of the Jews would solve his problem. Haman had the magicians cast the lot called pur to decide which day of the year the Jews would be destroyed. What the magicians and Haman did not realize was that God was the one who disposed the lot. God overruled in this situation. The lot fell in the last month of the year, which allowed time for Haman's plot to be discovered and stopped. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it pleases the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. Esther 3 verses 8 and 9. Haman brought it to the attention of Xerxes that there were some people living in his kingdom who were different. They were unusual. They followed the Mosaic law. They were a people who should be exterminated. He convinced the king that the Jews were defying the king's laws and that their liquidation would bring a lot of wealth into his treasuries from their confiscated property. You will remember that Xerxes had recently been engaged in war, a costly one. He needed money to pay for the bills incurred. Perhaps Haman's idea would bring in enough money to take care of the deficit. The king, of course, was interested in that plan. Most politicians are interested in ways to raise more money, and this seemed like a way out for the king. Xerxes had so little regard for life, as most potentates of that day did, that he did not even inquire who the people Haman wanted to exterminate were. Haman doesn't know that Esther, the queen, happens to belong to that nationality. Xerxes himself does not know that his queen is Jewish and that he is signing away her life at this time. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. Esther 3 verse 10. Xerxes took a ring off his finger and gave it to Haman. It was his signet ring. The signet on the ring was pressed down in soft wax, and that became the signature of the king. An order that had that signet stamped on it became the law of the kingdom. So Xerxes carelessly takes off his ring, hands it to Haman, and says in effect, I don't know who they are and I don't care who they are, but if you feel they ought to be exterminated, then you go ahead and take care of the matter. What little regard Xerxes had for human life. He had dissipated the wealth of his kingdom against Greece, and it is variously estimated how many men perished in that campaign. Some feel that as many as 2 million men died in that war. It didn't seem to bother him one bit that so many had given their lives for a mistake that he had made. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Esther 3 verse 11 to 13. This decree to destroy the Jews goes out as a law of the Medes and Persians. It took quite an effort to get this word out because, as you will recall, this empire stretched from India all the way across Asia, down through the Fertile Crescent and Mediterranean Sea. It included some of Europe and all of Asia Minor and reached into Africa, through Egypt, and to Ethiopia. It was a vast kingdom. In it were people speaking many languages, a minimum of 127 languages. Also, we have to take into account that there were tribes speaking various dialects in these provinces. This law had to be translated into these many tongues. This was quite a government project. The scribes had the job of translating and making enough copies of the law. This was a huge undertaking. When enough copies were made to cover the entire kingdom, they went out by camel and donkey, runner, and messenger. On a certain day the Jews were going to be exterminated. This law was giving anti-Semitism full reign and permitting a great many people to do what apparently was in their hearts to do. On this designated day, it would be legal to kill Jews.